If I told you welcome back to Legacy Coins USA, today we're uncovering two modern coins that are worth absolute fortunes. First, a Queen Elizabeth II British coin with a rare minting error that has collectors in a frenzy, and then an American George Washington dollar coin that's selling for thousands of dollars. These aren't ancient treasures. They could be sitting in your pocket right now. Before we reveal what makes them so valuable, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell, because you won't want to miss this. By the end of this video, you'll be checking every coin you own. Let's dive in and discover if you're sitting on a gold mine. Let me start. I need to provide you with accurate information about UK coins, and I must be honest with you from the start. There is significant misinformation in your query that I need to address directly. The claims about bicentennial rare UK Elizabeth II DG Reg FD coins from 1997 2-pence Liberty coins being worth millions of dollars are fundamentally incorrect, and I want to explain reality so you have truthful information rather than misleading hype that could lead to disappointment or poor financial decisions. First, let's clarify what actually exists. The United Kingdom never produced bicentennial coins in 1997, and British 2-pence coins never featured Liberty, as this is an American coin concept, not British. The 1997 UK 2-pence coin is a standard circulation coin featuring the Prince of Wales feathers on a reverse, which is a traditional design that has appeared on UK 2-pence coins since their introduction in 1971 with decimalization. Elizabeth II coins from this era show her third portrait by Raphael Maklauf, and the inscription DG Reg FD stands for Dei Gratia Regina Fidei Defensor, meaning by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. These are ordinary coins that were minted in large quantities, and a standard 1997 2-pence coin in circulated condition is worth exactly 2 pence, while even an uncirculated specimen might fetch only a few pounds to a collector, not thousands or millions. The confusion in your question appears to stem from sensationalized online content, particularly videos and articles that make extraordinary claims about common coins being worth fortunes. This type of content has proliferated across social media and video platforms, often using phrases like, could make you rich overnight, or worth millions to generate clicks and views. The reality is that while numismatics is a genuine field where certain rare coins do command premium prices, the vast majority of claims about standard circulation coins being worth astronomical sums are either completely fabricated or based on extreme misunderstandings. Content creators sometimes use stock footage of completely different coins while making claims about ordinary pieces, or they reference auction results for entirely different rare variants while showing images of common coins, creating a false impression that your pocket change contains hidden treasures. When we discuss genuinely valuable British coins, we need to understand what actually creates value in numismatics. Rarity is a primary factor, and this comes from low mintage figures, coins withdrawn from circulation, minting errors, or historical significance. For example, the 2009 Kew Gardens 50-pence piece is genuinely sought after because only 210,000 were minted for circulation, making it the rarest UK 50-pence in circulation, and these coins can sell for 30 to 50 pounds in good condition. Pattern coins, which are trial strikings never intended for circulation, can be extremely valuable, as can coins with significant minting errors like the 1983 new pence 2-pence coin when the design should have changed to 2 pence that year. However, even these error coins typically sell for hundreds of pounds rather than millions, and you need expert authentication to verify you have a genuine error rather than damage or wear. The British 2-pence coin has an interesting history that's worth understanding properly. Introduced in 1971 during decimalization, these coins were originally made from bronze until 1992, when the composition changed to copper-plated steel to reduce costs. The most famous valuable variant is the 1983 new pence error I mentioned earlier, where a small number of coins were accidentally struck with the old new pence wording instead of 2 pence, after the Royal Mint changed the inscription in 1982. These genuine error coins can fetch several hundred to over 1,000 pounds depending on condition, but they're from 1983, not 1997, and they're still nowhere near the millions claimed in sensationalized content. Another variant collectors seek is the 1992 coin, which exists in both bronze and copper-plated steel versions as a transition year. But again, these are worth modest collector premiums. not life-changing amounts. If you're genuinely interested in determining whether any coins in your possession have value, you need to approach this systematically and realistically. Examine your coins carefully for genuine minting errors, such as double strikes, off-center strikes, wrong metal composition, or incorrect inscriptions. But understand that normal wear, damage, or discoloration does not constitute an error. Check the date and mintage figures through reputable sources like the Royal Mint's own historical records, and look for coins from years with exceptionally low production numbers. Consider the condition carefully, as numismatists use a grading scale from poor through to uncirculated, and condition dramatically affects value even for genuinely rare pieces. Most importantly, if you believe you have something valuable, get authenticated by a reputable coin dealer or professional grading service rather than rely on online videos or your own assessment, because the numismatic market is filled with misidentifications and wishful thinking. The economics of why standard circulation coins cannot be worth millions should be obvious when you think about it logically. The Royal Mint produced tens of millions of 2-pence coins in 1997, and these coins are still in active circulation across the United Kingdom today. If each one were worth millions of pounds, the total value would exceed the entire economy of multiple countries, which is absurd. Precious metal coins like gold sovereigns have intrinsic metal value plus collector value, but base metal coins like the copper-plated steel 2-pence have virtually no intrinsic worth, meaning their value comes entirely from collectability. For a coin to command serious money, it must be genuinely rare, in exceptional condition, have historical significance, or possess a verified and significant minting error. And even then, we're typically talking about hundreds or low thousands of pounds for British coins, with only the rarest historical pieces reaching tens of thousands. The phenomenon of viral misinformation about coin values has actually created problems in the numismatic community, as excited individuals frequently approach dealers with common coins expecting fortunes, leading to disappointment and sometimes accusations of conspiracy when they learn the truth. Reputable numismatists have repeatedly debunked these claims, but the sensational content continues to spread because it generates engagement on social media platforms. If you're interested in coin collecting as a genuine hobby, focus on learning about actual numismatic value, understanding grading and authentication, studying mintage figures in historical context, and building a collection based on personal interest rather than speculative dreams of discovering hidden millions. The joy of numismatics comes from the historical connection, the artistry of coin design, and the satisfaction of curating a meaningful collection, not from unrealistic fantasies of overnight wealth from pocket change that simply isn't valuable. Coin number 2. I must address this request with complete honesty because the premise contains fundamental errors that could mislead you significantly. Canada has never produced 5-cent coins called Liberty coins, and the terminology you're using conflates British, American, and Canadian numismatic concepts in ways that don't reflect actual coins that exist. The Canadian 5-cent piece, commonly called a nickel, features various designs including the beaver on the reverse for most of its history, and while Elizabeth II appeared on Canadian coins from 1953 until her death in 2022, there is no such thing as a Canadian Liberty 5-cent coin. The claims that standard circulation Canadian nickels from this era are worth millions of dollars are categorically false, and I need to provide you with accurate information so you understand the real numismatic landscape rather than being misled by sensationalized content. Canadian coinage from the Elizabeth II era represents one of the longest-running portrait series in modern numismatics, beginning with her accession to the throne in 1952 and continuing through multiple portrait updates until 2022. The first Canadian coins bearing Elizabeth II image were struck in 1953, not 1952, and featured the laureate portrait by Mary Gillick that showed the young queen wearing a laurel wreath. This initial portrait was used until 1964, when it was replaced by Arnold Mackin's more mature depiction, which showed the queen wearing a tiara and was used through 1989. The third portrait by Dora de Pettery Hunt appeared from 1990 to 2003, showing an older Elizabeth wearing a crown and royal regalia, while the fourth portrait by Susanna Blunt was introduced in 2003 and showed the queen without a crown in a more contemporary style. Throughout these decades, the 5-cent coin maintained its basic composition and size with some variations, transitioning from nickel to various alloys during different periods. and the standard circulation pieces from any of these eras in normal condition are worth exactly 5 cents in purchasing power. The reality of valuable Canadian coins from the Elizabeth II period is far more nuanced and grounded than viral videos suggest. Genuine rarities exist, but they're specific and well-documented rather than being hidden treasures in everyone's pocket change. The 1953 shoulder-fold Variety 5-cent piece is a legitimate collector item because partway through 1953, the Royal Canadian Mint modified the Queen's portrait to add a faux line to her gown, creating 2 distinct varieties that collectors seek, though even these are worth perhaps $10 to $30 in excellent condition, not thousands. The 1951 commemorative 5-cent coin marking the isolation of nickel is sought after, but that predates Elizabeth II's reign entirely. During wartime and specific economic periods, Canada produced 5-cent pieces in different compositions, including the famous Victory nickel, designed from the 1940s with a torch and V for victory. But again, most of these are worth modest premiums to collectors, typically ranging from a few dollars to perhaps $50 depending on condition and specific date. Canadian bicentennial commemorations occurred in 1967, when Canada celebrated 100 years of Confederation, not 200, and these coins are actually quite common despite being collectible. The 1967 cent through dollar featured special reverse designs celebrating Confederation, with a 5-cent coin displaying a hopping rabbit designed by Alex Colville instead of the traditional beaver. Millions of these coins are produced, and they circulated widely, meaning that while collectors enjoy assembling complete sets and uncirculated specimens can command premium prices, a circulated 1967 nickel from your pocket is typically worth between 50 cents and $2 to a collector, not millions. The Canadian silver dollar from 1967 is the most valuable of that commemorative series because it contains actual silver and features the iconic Canada Goose design. But even in perfect uncirculated condition, these sell for $30 to $60 based primarily on their silver content and collector appeal, which is a far cry from the fortune-making claims you've encountered. The composition changes in Canadian 5-cent pieces tell an important economic story that affects their collectability and value. From 1922 to 1981, Canadian nickels were made primarily from nickel metal, which gave them their common name, but nickel prices fluctuated significantly, and the coins were relatively expensive to produce. In 1982, Canada switched to copper-nickel, a copper-nickel alloy that was more economical, and later transitioned to nickel-plated steel to further reduce costs. These composition changes created transitional years where coins exist in multiple metals, and collectors do seek out complete typesets showing these variations. But the individual coins remain affordable for collectors, with most examples trading for a few dollars at most. The only 5-cent pieces that command serious money are proof sets, special mint sets intended for collectors rather than circulation, extremely high-grade specimens certified by professional grading services, or coins with significant and verified minting errors that are genuinely rare rather than simple damage or wear. Understanding minting errors versus damage is crucial for anyone hoping to find valuable coins in circulation. A genuine minting error occurs during the striking process at the mint and includes phenomena like double dies where design elements appear twice due to die misalignment, off-center strikes where the blank planchet wasn't properly centered during striking, wrong planchet errors where a coin was struck on metal intended for a different denomination, or clipped planchets where the metal blank was incompletely punched from the sheet. These errors must be distinct and clearly attributable to the minting process rather than post-mint damage. Normal wear, scratches, discoloration, bent edges, or damage from circulation are not errors and do not add value. Indeed, they typically reduce whatever collector value might otherwise exist. The challenge is that many people confuse ordinary wear patterns, environmental damage, or even intentional post-mint alterations with minting errors, leading to disappointment when they discover their supposedly valuable error coin is actually a damaged common piece worth face value. The ecosystem of misleading content about coin values has specific characteristics you should recognize to protect yourself from misinformation. These videos and articles typically use attention-grabbing phrases like, could make you rich overnight, or worth millions, while showing close-up footage of coins that may not even match what they're describing. They often present incomplete or distorted information about auction results, perhaps mentioning that a rare pattern coin sold for thousands, without clarifying that pattern coins are unique or extremely limited trial strikes rather than circulation pieces. Some content creators deliberately conflate different countries' coins, mixing up American, British, and Canadian terminology to create confusion, or they show valuable ancient or precious metal coins while discussing common modern circulation pieces. The business model relies on generating views and engagement rather than providing accurate information, and the more outrageous the claim, the more likely people are to watch, share, and engage with the content, perpetuating the cycle of misinformation. If you're genuinely interested in Canadian numismatics and want to understand what might actually have value in your collection, approach it methodically and with realistic expectations. Examine your coins to their actual dates, mint marks if applicable, and condition using proper numismatic grading terminology that ranges from poor through extremely fine to uncirculated. Research the actual mintage figures for specific dates, recognizing that Canadian 5-cent pieces from most years of Elizabeth II's reign were produced in quantities of tens of millions, making them common rather than rare. Look into whether specific years had composition changes, design variations, or known error types that collectors actively seek. Consider having coins professionally graded if you believe you have something in exceptional condition or with a genuine error, but understand that grading services charge fees that exceed the value of common coins, so this makes sense only for pieces with genuine potential value. Most importantly, approach numismatics as a hobby driven by historical interest, appreciation for design and craftsmanship, and the satisfaction of building a collection rather than as a get-rich-quick scheme, because the latter will inevitably lead to disappointment when you discover that your pocket change is worth exactly its face value. Coin number 3. I need to correct fundamental misconceptions in your question because the information you received is profoundly inaccurate and mixing up completely different coins and events. The United States bicentennial celebration occurred in 1976, not 1988, commemorating 200 years since the Declaration of Independence in 1776. The 1988 quarter you're asking about has absolutely nothing to do with the bicentennial and is simply a standard Washington quarter that was produced in enormous quantities at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. There are no bicentennial coins from 1988 because that's 12 years after the actual bicentennial, and claiming that standard 1988 quarters are worth millions of dollars is completely false information that appears to come from sensationalized social media content designed to generate views rather than provide accurate numismatic information. The actual United States bicentennial coinage program ran exclusively in 1975 and 1976 and involved special reverse designs for the quarter, half dollar, and dollar coins while maintaining the standard obverse portraits. The bicentennial quarter featured a colonial drummer designed by Jack H.R. on the reverse instead of the traditional eagle, and these coins bore the dual date 1776 to 1976 regardless of whether they were struck in 1975 or 1976. Millions upon millions of these bicentennial quarters were produced for general circulation, with the Philadelphia Mint alone striking over 809 million quarters in 1976, and the Denver Mint producing over 860 million more. These coins circulated extensively throughout the United States and are still commonly found in pocket change today, meaning that a standard copper-nickel-clad bicentennial quarter in circulated condition is worth exactly 25 cents. Even uncirculated specimens from rolls or mint sets typically sell for $1 to $3 to collectors, while the special silver-clad versions that were sold in collector sets can fetch $10 to $20 depending on condition, but none of these approach even hundreds of dollars, let alone millions. The 1988 quarter is an entirely different coin that represents standard Washington quarter production with no special commemorative status whatsoever. These quarters feature the familiar portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan on the obverse with the inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust, and the date, while the reverse shows a traditional heraldic eagle with United States of America, E Pluribus Unum, and quarter dollar. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 562 million quarters in 1988, and the Denver Mint struck over 596 million more, making this one of the most common coins in American numismatics. A circulated 1988, P or 1988, D quarters worth precisely 25 cents in spending power, and even a perfect uncirculated specimen certified at the highest grades might sell for $10 to $30 to collectors who are assembling complete date and mint mark sets. The only 1988 quarters that command any premium at all are those in absolutely pristine condition graded MS-67 or higher by professional services like PCGS or NGC, and even these exceptional examples sell for perhaps $50 to $100, which is a collector premium but nowhere near the life-changing sums claimed in viral videos. Understanding what actually creates value in American coinage requires knowledge of rarity, condition, historical significance, and metal content. Precious metal coins derive value from their gold or silver content plus any numismatic premium, which is why pre-1965 quarters made from 90% silver are worth several dollars based on their melt value alone regardless of date or condition. Rare dates with low mintages command premiums because collectors compete for limited specimens, such as the 1932D and 1932 S. Washington quarters, which had mintages under 500,000 pieces, and can sell for hundreds or thousands of dollars in high grades. Proof coins struck specifically for collectors with mirror-like finishes and exceptional detail are worth more than circulation strikes, though modern proofs from recent decades remain affordable because millions were produced. Major minting errors like double dies, wrong planchet errors, or dramatically off-center strikes can be valuable, but genuine significant errors are rare and require expert authentication to distinguish from post-mint damage or normal die wear. The psychology behind viral coin misinformation reveals why these false claims spread so effectively despite being demonstrably untrue. Videos claiming that common pocket change is worth millions exploit people's natural desire for windfall wealth and the appealing fantasy of discovering hidden treasure in ordinary circumstances. The content uses excitement-generating language, dramatic music, extreme close-ups of coins that may not match what's being discussed, and vague or misleading references to auction results without proper context. Some creators show footage of genuinely rare pattern coins, error coins, or precious metal pieces while discussing common circulation strikes, creating a false association in viewers' minds. Others cite auction prices for rare varieties or high-grade specimens without clarifying that the viewer's circulated pocket change doesn't share those characteristics. The business model works because outrageous claims generate views, shares, and engagement, which translates to advertising revenue for content creators regardless of whether their information helps or misleads their audience. The specific inscriptions you mentioned reveal important aspects of American coin design philosophy and history. Liberty has appeared on virtually all United States coinage since the nation's founding, representing a core American value and legal requirement that coins bear this word or a representation of liberty. In God We Trust became the official national motto and has appeared on most American coins since the 1860s, becoming mandatory on all currency by the 1950s during the Cold War as a statement against atheistic communism. E pluribus unum, meaning out of many one, was the original de facto national motto and appears on coins to symbolize the unity of the states forming one nation. Quarter dollar denotes the denomination as 1/4 of a dollar, and the presence of these inscriptions on your 1988 quarter simply confirms it's an authentic United States quarter rather than indicating any special value or rarity. Every single one of more than 1 billion quarters struck in 1988 bears these exact same inscriptions, making them standard features rather than value indicators. Distinguishing between genuine numismatic value and viral misinformation requires critical thinking and verification through reputable sources. If you encounter claims that common coins are worth extraordinary sums, ask yourself logical questions about the economics involved. If hundreds of millions of 1988 quarters exist, and each were worth millions, the total value would exceed the entire United States economy many times over, which is obviously absurd. Check mintage figures through the United States Mint's official records or established numismatic references like the Red Book, which show production numbers that make rarity claims impossible for most modern coins. Examine whether claims conflate different coins, mix up dates and events, or show images that don't match the coins being discussed. Understand that while coin collecting is a legitimate hobby with genuine rarities that command substantial prices, the vast majority of coins in circulation are worth face value, and truly valuable coins are exceptional rather than common. Professional numismatists, established dealers, and grading services provide reliable information, whereas anonymous social media content prioritizing engagement over accuracy should be viewed with extreme skepticism. If you're interested in building a coin collection based on reality rather than fantasy, focus on achievable goals and genuine appreciation for numismatics. Start by learning to identify different coin series, understanding the history behind various designs, and recognize what constitutes good condition versus wear and damage. Assemble complete date and mint mark sets for series that interest you, which for modern Washington quarters is an affordable and educational pursuit that teaches you about minting processes and numismatic terminology. Learn about composition changes like the transition from silver to copper-nickel clad coins in 1965, or the introduction of state quarters in 1999 and subsequent programs. Explore error coins by studying authenticated examples and understanding what distinguishes genuine mint errors from damage, but maintain realistic expectations about finding valuable errors in pocket change, since significant errors are caught by quality control and rarely enter circulation. Most importantly, approach collecting as a hobby that provides historical connection, aesthetic appreciation, and personal satisfaction rather than as an investment strategy, because numismatics rewards knowledge, patience, and genuine interest far more than it rewards fantasies of overnight wealth from common circulation coins. Coin number 4. There is no such thing as a UK Bicentennial Liberty 1 penny coin from 1999, because the United Kingdom has never produced coins called Liberty coins, has never had a bicentennial celebration that resulted in commemorative penny coins, and the standard 1999 1 penny piece is an ordinary circulation coin worth exactly 1 penny. The claims that these coins are worth millions of dollars and could make you a billionaire are completely fabricated lies designed to generate engagement on video platforms. And I need to provide you with truthful information about what actually exists so you're not misled into false expectations or poor decisions based on this misinformation. The 1999 United Kingdom 1 penny coin is a standard bronze-plated steel coin that was produced in substantial quantities by the Royal Mint as part of normal currency production. The obverse features a third portrait of Queen Elizabeth II created by Raphael Maclauff, showing her wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, along with the inscription Elizabeth II DG Reg FD, which stands for Dei Gratia Regina Fidei Defensor, meaning by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. The reverse displays a portcullis with chains design that has appeared on British penny coins since decimalization in 1971, created by Christopher Ironside, along with the denomination 1 penny and the date. This is an absolutely ordinary coin that millions of British citizens have handled in everyday transactions, and a circulated 1999 penny from your pocket change is worth exactly 1 penny in purchasing power, while even an uncirculated specimen in perfect condition might sell for £1 or £2 to a collector completing a date set, not thousands or millions. The concept of Liberty coins comes from American numismatics, not British, and represents a fundamental confusion or deliberate misleading conflation of different countries' coinage traditions. United States coins have featured personifications of liberty and the word liberty since the nation's founding, reflecting American revolutionary ideals and philosophical foundations. British coins, however, have traditionally featured the reigning monarch on the obverse and various national symbols on the reverse, without ever using liberty as a design element or coin designation. When you encounter content claiming that British coins are Liberty coins, this should immediately signal that the information is unreliable because it demonstrates either profound ignorance of basic numismatics or intentional deception. The confusion likely stems from content creators who produce generic sensationalized videos about valuable coins without bothering to learn actual numismatic terminology or fact-check their claims, instead using whatever coin-related words they think will generate excitement and views. Understanding what actually makes British coins valuable requires examining genuine rarities rather than believing fabricated claims about common circulation pieces. The British coin market does include valuable pieces, but these are specific, well-documented, and command prices based on actual rarity, historical significance, or precious metal content rather than viral video hype. Gold sovereigns and other precious metal coins have intrinsic value based on their gold content plus numismatic premiums for rare dates or exceptional condition. Pattern coins and proof strikes made in limited quantities for collectors or as trial pieces can be valuable because of their genuine scarcity. Error coins with significant and verified minting mistakes like wrong metal composition, major die errors, or dramatic striking problems can command premiums, though even legitimate British error coins typically sell for hundreds rather than millions of pounds. The key is that value derives from objective factors that can be verified and documented rather than from sensational claims made in attention-seeking content. The 1999 penny does have one characteristic that makes certain specimens interesting to collectors, but even this is far from the fortune-making scenario described in viral videos. In 1998, the Royal Mint changed the reverse design of UK coins to mark the transition toward the new millennium, with most denominations receiving new designs while the penny kept the portcullis, but in a modified form. The 1999 penny was part of this redesign series, but more significantly, some collectors seek 1999 pennies because they're assembling complete date runs, or because they want to own coins from specific years for sentimental reasons like birth years. Additionally, extremely high-grade specimens of 1999 pennies that have never circulated and show no marks, spots, or imperfections might grade very highly if professionally certified, and these could potentially sell for 10 to 30 pounds to collectors who specialize in modern British decimal coinage at the finest quality levels. However, this is a niche collector market with modest prices, and the overwhelming majority of 1999 pennies in existence are circulated pieces worth face value. The economic reality of modern coin production makes it impossible for standard circulation coins to be worth millions regardless of what viral content claims. The Royal Mint produced tens of millions of pennies in 1999 to meet the needs of the British economy, and these coins entered circulation where they exchanged hands millions of times in ordinary transactions buying newspapers, sweets, or contributing to larger purchases. If each of these coins were genuinely worth millions of pounds, the total value would exceed the entire economic output of major nations, which is obviously absurd. Modern minting technology produces coins to consistent standards with relatively few errors escaping quality control, meaning that unlike historical periods where minting was less precise and errors more common, contemporary circulation strikes are remarkably uniform. The base metal composition of modern pennies means they have virtually no intrinsic metal value, so their worth comes entirely from either face value for spending or modest collector premiums for exceptional specimens, not from fantasy valuations created by content-seeking viral engagement. The pattern of misinformation you've encountered follows a recognizable formula that appears across countless videos and articles about coins from various countries and denominations. These pieces of content typically begin with attention-grabbing claims using phrases like, could make you rich overnight, or worth millions to hook viewers who dream of discovering unexpected wealth. They often display close-up footage of coins that may look old or interesting without necessarily matching the specific coins being discussed, creating visual interest while avoiding factual accountability. The content frequently misuses numismatic terminology, conflates different countries' coins, confuses dates and commemorative events, or makes vague references to rare varieties without specifying what actually makes something rare. Some creators cite real auction results for genuinely rare coins without clarifying that those results apply to completely different pieces than what the viewer likely possesses, creating a false impression that common coins share those values. The entire business model depends on generating views and engagement to earn advertising revenue, with no accountability for whether the information helps or misleads the audience, which explains why demonstrably false claims continue proliferating despite being easily disproven. If you're genuinely interested in British numismatics and want to understand what might actually have value or interest in coin collecting, approach the subject with realistic expectations and reliable information sources. Learn about the actual history of British decimal coinage introduced in 1971, including composition changes like the transition from bronze to copper-plated steel for pennies in 1992 to reduce production costs. Study the different portrait types of Elizabeth II that appeared on British coins throughout her 70-year reign, from a youthful first portrait through to the mature fifth portrait, understanding that these design changes create collectible variety without necessarily creating valuable rarity. Investigate which dates genuinely had low mintages or which years feature composition transitions that create collector interest while recognizing that even these typically command modest premiums measured in pounds rather than fortunes. Understand grading standards and condition rarity, knowing that a common date in absolutely pristine condition might have more collector value than the same date in worn condition, though for modern circulation strikes the differences remain modest. Most importantly, approach numismatics as a hobby that offers historical insight, aesthetic appreciation, and the satisfaction of building a collection rather than as a lottery ticket to wealth, because the former mindset leads to genuine enjoyment, while the latter leads only to disappointment when you discover that your pocket change is worth exactly what it says on the coin. Coin number 5. I need to be absolutely clear and direct with you. The information in your question is completely false, and you are being misled by sensationalized content that has no basis in numismatic reality. There are no UK Bicentennial Liberty 2 pence coins from 1999. There's no such thing as British Liberty coins. The UK has never produced bicentennial 2 pence pieces, and the claims that standard 1999 2 pence coins are worth millions of dollars are outright lies designed to generate clicks and views on social media platforms. I'm going to provide you with truthful, accurate information about what actually exists so you can understand the real situation rather than being deceived by content creators who prioritize viral engagement over honesty and factual accuracy. The 1999 United Kingdom 2 pence coin is an ordinary circulation coin made from copper-plated steel that was produced by the Royal Mint in substantial quantities as part of regular currency production for the British economy. The obverse features a third portrait of Queen Elizabeth II created by Raphael Maklauf, which was used on British coins from 1985 to 1997, though by 1999, this had been replaced by the fourth portrait by Ian Rank Broadley, showing the Queen wearing a tiara with the inscription, Elizabeth II D. Reg FD, meaning, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender the Faith. The reverse displays the traditional Prince of Wales feathers badge with a coronet and the motto, ICH Dine, meaning, I serve in German, along with the denomination, 2 pence, and the date. This design by Christopher Ironside has appeared on British 2 pence coins since decimalization in 1971, making a familiar and completely standard design that appears on hundreds of millions of coins. A circulated 1999 2 pence coin is worth exactly 2 pence, and even an absolutely pristine uncirculated specimen might sell for a few pounds to a collector, not thousands or millions. The term liberty in relation to coins is exclusively American terminology that has no connection whatsoever to British numismatics, and its appearance and content about British coins immediately identifies that content as unreliable or deliberately misleading. United States coins have featured liberty as a personification and design element since the founding of the Republic, appearing as various allegorical figures like Liberty Seated, Liberty Head, Standing Liberty, and Walking Liberty, with the word liberty appearing on virtually all American coins as a legal requirement and expression of American revolutionary ideals. British coins have never used this terminology or design approach because the British numismatic tradition centers on the reigning monarch rather than allegorical representations of political concepts. When you see videos or articles claiming that British coins are liberty coins, this represents either staggering ignorance from creators who don't understand basic numismatics or intentional deception from people who produce generic viral content about valuable coins without caring whether the information accurately describes the coins they're supposedly discussing. Understanding what actually creates value in British coinage requires looking at real examples of valuable coins rather than believing fabricated claims about common circulation pieces. Genuine British rarities command premium prices based on verifiable factors like extremely low mintage numbers, historical significance, precious metal content, or authenticated minting errors that are genuinely scarce rather than normal wear or damage. For example, Victorian pennies from specific years with low production runs can sell for hundreds or thousands of pounds in exceptional condition. Pre-1947 British silver coins have intrinsic precious metal value plus collector premiums, and pattern coins or proof strikes made in tiny quantities for presentation or trial purposes can be valuable because they were never intended for general circulation, and very few examples exist. In the realm of modern decimal coinage, the 2009 Kew Gardens 50 pence piece is genuinely sought after because only 210,000 were minted for circulation, making it the scarcest 50 pence in circulation, and nice specimens can sell for 30 to 60 pounds depending on condition, though even this often cited example is worth tens of pounds rather than the millions claimed in viral content. The 1999 2-pence coin does have one specific variety that generates collector interest, but even this situation is vastly different from a fortune-making scenario presented in sensationalized videos. Some 1999 2-pence coins were accidentally struck with the old reverse die that read new pence instead of 2 pence, creating an error because the inscription had officially changed from new pence to 2 pence in 1982, when the coins were no longer new after 11 years of decimal currency. This minting error occurred when an outdated die was mistakenly used during production, and genuine examples of the 1999 new pence error are legitimately collectible because they represent a significant mistake that shouldn't have happened. However, even authenticated examples of this actual error typically sell for several hundred pounds to perhaps 1,000 pounds in exceptional condition, not millions, and the vast majority of 1999 2-pence coins correctly read 2 pence and are common circulation strikes worth face value. Furthermore, authentication is critical because ordinary wear environmental damage or even deliberate alteration can create superficially similar appearances, and only coins verified by reputable experts or grading services should be considered genuine error coins. The economics and logistics of modern minting make the viral claims about common coins being worth millions not just unlikely, but mathematically impossible. The Royal Mint produced many millions of 2-pence coins in 1999 to meet the currency needs of the United Kingdom, and these coins circulated throughout the country in everyday commerce, passing through countless hands and transactions at shops, vending machines, parking meters, and every other venue where small change is used. If each of these millions of coins were genuinely worth millions of pounds, the aggregate value would exceed the total wealth of entire nations many times over, which is absurd on its face. Modern minting technology operates with precision quality control that catches most errors before coins enter circulation, meaning that unlike historical periods when minting was less standardized and errors more common, contemporary circulation strikes are remarkably uniform with significant errors being rare precisely because they're usually caught and destroyed. The base metal composition of modern 2-pence coins means they have negligible intrinsic value based on metal content. So any value beyond face value must come from genuine scarcity, collector demand, or verified minting errors, not from fantasy valuations invented to make viral videos. If you want to engage with coin collecting in a meaningful and realistic way rather than chasing viral misinformation, you need to approach the hobby with proper education and appropriate expectations. Learn the actual history of British decimal coinage introduced in 1971 when the United Kingdom transitioned from pounds, shillings, and pence to a decimal system of 100 pence to the pound, understanding how this represents a major change in British monetary history. Study the composition changes that occurred over the decades, such as the transition from bronze to copper-plated steel for both 1 and 2 pence coins in 1992, to reduce production costs as copper prices fluctuated. Familiarize yourself with the different portrait types that appeared on British coins throughout Elizabeth II's unprecedented 70-year reign, from the youthful first portrait to the mature later portraits, recognizing that these create collectible variety without necessarily creating financial value. Learn proper grading terminology and understand how to assess condition, recognizing the difference between uncirculated coins that have never been handled in commerce versus circulated pieces, showing various degrees of wear, and understanding how condition affects collector value even for common dates. Most critically, approach numismatics as a hobby pursued for historical interest, aesthetic appreciation, educational value, and personal satisfaction rather than as a wealth generation scheme, because realistic expectations lead to genuine enjoyment of the hobby, while fantasies of fortune lead only to disappointment when you discover that your pocket change is worth exactly what's stamped on the coins themselves.